Yeah, part of that American Comeback Tour, which his next stop was supposed to be at Colorado State University. Obviously, as we said, the AP saying that he's in critical condition following that shooting at Utah Valley University about 12:15 this afternoon. So we're still watching for more reports of his current condition, as this is just a huge breaking news story this afternoon.
Bram, so talk about, he clearly is a lightning rod in politics. And what's interesting is, this is somebody who has never held political office, but yet, you see a violent attack like this. What is it? Explain to people, really why he is such a lightning rod and so inflammatory, and why he has become a target.
Well, this is the identity he's created for himself. He talks about his evolution in high school, and which wasn't all that long ago, right? He's
only 31.
Only 31 years old. His evolution, how he got to where he is. But essentially, he's kind of made for this moment. Did you know he has one of the largest audiences as a podcaster on YouTube? His podcast is huge. He reaches millions of people. That wouldn't have been possible 10 years ago, but he reaches millions of people with a variety of different shows. Some of them, we talk about him as being conservative. Let's be clear, he is right-wing, far to the right in some cases. He is a Christian nationalist. He supports a very traditional view of marriage. As he's aged, he's become more religious and expressed that publicly, but a religious view of marriage. He tells women, go to college to find a husband. That's part, you can see where he's going with that. That is a space he has carved out. It's done very well for him. As I said, his organization is worth about $100 million. That came out of nowhere, and here they are. But again, built for this moment where you can get publicity on social media, online. He, again, you have to acknowledge his talents. He's a great speaker, great orator. He doesn't just blow smoke. He knows what he's talking about. His arguments are well-reasoned based on his line of reasoning. Right. It can be pretty challenging, but he is made for this moment.
And what's interesting is this political climate right now and how it has really turned. It's been, stepped up to a whole nother level. We saw the assassination attempt of President Trump. And, now we see something like this. And it's just very disturbing, and it's very jarring to see how far people will go when, clearly they don't like someone's views.
I disagree. Yeah.
I think we need kind of a reality check of where we are right now. Look at what's on social media. Look at what's on YouTube. Look at what's on any kind of media you touch. It is people getting spun up about politics, about transgender people.
And in fact, wasn't he answering a question? He was about to answer a question about that. And then that's when a single shot ran out.
Right. About Donald Trump, who is just a president like nothing we've ever seen before, who just is a machine, a content generator for social media. We live in a different era now. And you talk about political violence. What really strikes me at this moment is many of the politicians expressing their concerns,
on both sides of the aisle.
And they're genuine, pray for Charlie Kirk. How many of them have received death threats? You would be astounded at the number. As I'm reading the tweets, death threat, death threat. This is part of the environment they live in now.
And you have political leaders, of course, obviously the president weighing in on the incident that's happened in Utah, again, just north of Provo, that we all must pray for Charlie Kirk, who has been shot. A great guy from top to bottom. God bless him. We saw a couple other local political leaders weighing in on the incident. You have Adrian Fontes here. Bram, I know you've reached out to a couple of different people for their reaction to what's going on this afternoon.
Right. And Carrie Lake, two-time candidate here, she was there. We have a tweet from Carrie Lake. Charlie Kirk is a husband, father, and friend, an incredible man who loves America. He's been shot in what appears to be an assassination attempt in Utah. I'm holding Charlie, his wonderful wife, Erica, and their children in deep prayer. And so you see this. Many of these folks have been targets themselves, whether literally, as Charlie Kirk was today, but certainly online. Saw a story the other day of somebody being sent to prison for 3 years for threatening a politician.
And even our Democratic Governor Hobbs weighing in, I'm horrified by the violent attack on Charlie Kirk. In a democracy, we solve our disagreements at the ballot box. Political violence is never acceptable. You know, Bram, you just brought up a good point about how, as a political figure, you know, whether you are clearly in the national spotlight or not, their lives, for the most part, are always in danger, you know, and especially in a climate like this. And then when you have somebody who, again, really, you know, can strike a chord with a lot of people, many of whom, whether they like him or whether they don't, somebody like Charlie Kirk, you know, he really becomes a big target for people who may disagree.
He is a lightning rod, to be sure, based on everything he has said and his presence. And, you know, again, prove me wrong. I'm really interested to see what the security arrangements were for this event, a massive open air rally.
And you've been to his rallies before, right? Here locally.
His rally,
what is that like?
Well, his rallies are all, you know, Phoenix Convention Center nearby, Dream City Church. They've held some events there. Just down the street at the Desert Financial, I forget what it's called now, Arizona Center. You know, they're indoors. They're not like that in front of a massive crowd.
So that was very reminiscent of Butler, Pennsylvania, and that you have a full service detail looking out for your security, and look at how that worked out.
Yeah,
you can't imagine Charlie has that same setup.
It is fair to say Charlie Kirk, given his significance, given his notoriety, deserves a presidential-like security envelope wherever he goes, especially at an outdoor event like that.
But what do you see, though? I mean, do you see much security when you go to a lot of his rallies?
No, these crowds are kind of self-selecting. You know, these are Turning Point USA members, young people largely, some older people. He's really expanded his reach into the Republican Party here. He played a big role in turning out voters in 2024 for Republicans, and certainly did make a difference. But his audiences are largely young people, people in their 20s, coming to hear Charlie Kirk or Donald Trump or all manner of speakers. So you don't see much of security presence there. At most, you get wanded or go through a magnetometer when you get in.
And that's not to say that they can do that with the hundreds of thousands of students or people who bought tickets. You can buy these tickets online to attend these events. I don't know necessarily if you have to be a student to get onto campus to attend these events, but regardless, they kept showing on NBC News the map of the courtyard. Again, a big open air space where he's sitting, what looks like maybe just perched up on a chair or almost on the table, it looks like, Indian style, and exposed.
And Donald Trump does rallies like that. But again, there is a security envelope in the area.
And sweeps.
And I'll remind ourselves and our viewers, we don't know yet what security was like for this event. But certainly, as I said, he certainly has earned a pretty high level of security. And, you know, he's in a position where he could pay for it. The organization does have the money to pay for that kind of thing.
Well, and I think on another level, too, just the fact that there was a shooting once again at a college campus. I mean, that is, you know, already disturbing in and of itself. And then you have something like this happen, you know, a political event, which just heightens, you know, the climate that we are living in right now, just on so many levels, how awful this is.
I mean, look, people are spun up. They have easy access to guns. You know, what more can I say? It puts you in danger when you do something like this, no matter who you are.
Okay. We just got word from our producer that NBC News is saying that they actually do not have a suspect in custody, despite earlier reports that have said on multiple outlets that there was a suspect in custody. So again, these events unfolding, this happened just after 12 o'clock. And, you know, things are still developing here. We're at last check, at last word, a law enforcement official had told the Associated Press that Charlie Kirk was in critical condition at a Utah hospital.
Okay, and so it's a couple of things. We heard I think it was Ken Delaney with NBC just a few moments ago say, hey, yeah, they say they have a suspect in custody, but after something like this happens, it is not unusual for that first suspect or whatever they thought the suspect was to be dismissed, and they're still looking for somebody else. So
Sure.
it's important just to remain
Right.
just
Well, and when
calm
you
here.
see a crowd like that,
let this play out.
there's so many people,
and also,
and they have to interview so many people and find out what happened and their eyewitness accounts.
yeah, and also to the description of critical condition. That's the basic description for somebody who's likely in surgery, undergoing very serious surgery.
And of course, at this point, you have not only campus police, but the FBI investigating
And
what
ATF.
happened, and the ATF investigating what happened. And we don't know if it's one suspect or multiple suspects at this point. So again, eyewitness, that's just going to continue to develop as more. And you see the videos circulating on social; those have to be vetted and whatnot. So plenty more details to develop this afternoon.
In war, they call it the fog of war, right? It's chaos.
Yeah.
And they're trying their best to sort things out right now.
With that one single shot right afterwards, you saw the campus just, divide. I mean, students were running all over the place. It was mass chaos. And at that point, it's just people aren't sure what just happened. We are seeing a tweet, it looks like, from Gabby Giffords. She says, "I'm horrified to hear that Charlie Kirk was shot at an event in Utah. Democratic societies will always have political disagreements, but we must never allow America to become a country that confronts those disagreements with violence. Mark and I are praying for Charlie's recovery."
And of course, Gabby Giffords herself, the victim of gun violence 14 years ago in Tucson, the Tucson shootings.
Yeah, with this
almost claimed her life. She was left gravely injured, managed to overcome that. And as someone, I still get a chill when I think of that day. It is remarkable and a near miracle that Gabby is still with us today.
It really is. And her recovery has never ended. I mean, she continues to recover from that all these years later. And so miraculous as it is, I mean, it's appropriate for her, of all people, to weigh in and respond to today's violence. For our viewers just joining us, Charlie Kirk with TPUSA was shot on the Utah Valley University campus just after 12 o'clock. Of course, hundreds of thousands of students there as he makes his American Comeback Tour, where people can buy tickets to go hear him speak. Bram was sharing with us, it's the prove me wrong. Obviously, we see a lot of those confrontational arguments. People bring up a point. Charlie argues with them. He's very quick on his feet, but the students like to get out there and challenge him. You see plenty of people show up time and time again. And of course, that Utah Valley University, just one of several stops, according to the TPUSA website. Next stop is supposed to be Colorado State University, but obviously things very much in limbo right now as he is in critical condition after suffering a gunshot wound.
I'd like to just pause a moment. Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's wife, posted a Bible verse just hours before he was shot. Psalm 46:1, excuse me. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble.
And again, for those who don't know, he's got 2 young children. I don't know his son's name. His daughter's name is Hazel. There's been lots of videos posted of the family of 4, again, calling for prayers and thinking of him as he recovers.
And he lives right here in the Valley. He's headquartered here in the Valley.
In South Phoenix.
I have to tell you, there are reports on social media that Charlie Kirk has died. The Utah Speaker of the House, Mike Schultz, confirms his death. Other sources are reporting this. We have nothing official from Turning Point USA.
All right.
That's out there. I felt the need to put that out there.
Okay.
Speaker of the Utah House is a credible source, but we have nothing official.
I was going to say, we still...
You're seeing the same social media we are.
Well, and as you said, the fog of war, there's a lot of things going on right now, a lot of details, a lot of developments and things that we're certainly going to follow. And as you said, people seeing the same things on social media, we're trying to vet that as quickly and as succinctly as possible.
We will still,
yes.
We will still wait for official confirmation on his condition, but
and typically NBC News will be our lead on that.
Of course. Well, they were in special report for about an hour following the news. They broke into programming and were bringing us live reports from the scene, eyewitnesses weighing in on what they saw, the disbursement of the crowd, hearing those gunshots and being out in that public venue on the Utah Valley University campus this afternoon.
All right. Well, we are coming up on the bottom of the hour, almost 1:30 right now. If you are just joining us, we want to let you know that Charlie Kirk, the CEO and co-founder of Turning Point USA, has been shot at Utah Valley University. That's in Orem. That's just north of Provo. And he has been taken to the hospital. We are waiting for the final confirmation of his condition, but there are reports that have said that he has passed. But again, we are going to still wait and hear final confirmation.
And we're posting again President Trump's Truth Social post saying we must all pray for Charlie Kirk, who has been shot, a great guy from top to bottom. God bless him. Charlie Kirk, just 31 years old, is a senior advisor to Donald Trump. Donald Trump goes to Charlie Kirk for advice and credited Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA, which is based here in Phoenix, with his success in 2024 in Arizona and around the country, where Turning Point has chapters in universities, high schools, and has made a big impact among the youth vote.
Getting out the youth vote. I know you had told us that he was the youngest speaker at the Republican National Convention back in 2016. And it's just
2016, he would have been about 22 years old.
Yeah, just an incredible impact in terms of influencing the younger vote and getting out there and answering questions or having those arguments with people who want to try and prove him wrong or what have you.
Yeah,
he really has a far reach.
And just again to underline that, he's one of the most popular podcasters on social media. He reaches millions of people. That's, you asked earlier,
daily.
Where does he come from? Wasn't elected to anything.
Right.
He just
no
graduated from high school.
Right.
He got a lift from some wealthy donors, who saw something in him.
But it is really incredible how influential, and how powerful his voice is, considering he has never held an official political office.
But with a voice like that, he is a very gifted speaker, very fast on his feet, knows where he stands. There he is with President Trump. That's was the rally this past December where President Trump made his first appearance after winning the election. But he's very, very gifted. You have the social media bullhorn. I can remember when Turning Point, back say 2015, were just a bunch of people holding up signs protesting, I don't know, public schools at the state capitol.
Very grassroots.
I mean, really very grassroots. Yes. There are people here in Arizona who've been with Charlie Kirk from the beginning.
Right.
From the very beginning. State legislators, many others.
Absolutely.
Well, you have been, I know, to a number of his rallies. We want to play for you what that is like at one of his rallies. Let's listen in.
Let's just say thank you, God, for giving us Donald Trump and giving our country back. Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to witness history, the 45th and 47th President of the United States.
And as you were just saying, obviously a very strong supporter, a strong ally of President Trump.
And to underline it, had the clout to get President Trump to make his first appearance post-election here in Phoenix.
And it's funny that you mentioned the clout. So when we look at political activism in history, I mean, can you measure him up to anybody in recent history and in the past for this country who's been this influential? I mean, when we talk about influencers these days, you're not necessarily picturing Charlie Kirk, but the reach he has, the influence he has, and the impact is pretty unmatched.
Is unmatched, and having covered politics for so long, I'm just struck by this new era we're in, where somebody like Charlie Kirk can reach millions of people. In the past, maybe you go back to the 30s, when radio was still a new medium, and you had some people like Father Coughlin, for example, who had reached 130,000 people in a country of, I think, maybe 30 million. Sure. He had a huge reach there too. Sorry, I'm just getting pinged here. He had a huge reach. Charlie Kirk's reach is proportionally, is it beyond that? I don't know, but given all the different outlets he has to reach people, it probably is. There are others as well, but he is at the top of that pyramid. He is at the top of that pyramid when it comes to reach. And again, it is a far-right Christian nationalist message, traditional conservative message, Women should get married, have children, stay at home. It has a certain appeal in this moment. Clearly, it has a certain appeal among the young people he's reaching because he just repeats it. He's not hiding anything. He is out there, right? Prove me wrong, all comers. He'll take any question, any attack, and respond.
And especially, you know, trying to get out the young vote. That has always, with every single election, that has always been, you know, kind of an uphill battle. And for someone like him to have that kind of powerful influence is really pretty remarkable.
And that's interesting because we've seen some of that before. You know, 1968, there was a lot of young people for Bobby F. Kennedy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Eugene McCarthy. There was the baby boomers were just turning 18, 19, 20, 21, right? They were getting behind those candidates. But today you have the tools and the means to create a real movement in a very short time, as Turning Point USA has done. And what they've done across the country, that might be unprecedented. Just in terms of the breadth, the reach of that movement. It is something Democrats can't come close to matching. Not even close.
Explain that. Why is that, you think?
Well, because I haven't ever talked to Charlie Kirk about this. All I know is what I see. What I see is a very canny strategy of reaching into universities and even high schools to reach young people as they get maybe more politically conscious, or to give them a political consciousness and bring them over to his side as they're still kind of developing, you know, their ideas.
Yeah, because those are kind of, you know, in a way, the formative years.
Exactly.
In the sense that, you know, they're searching for their identity still, you know, and in this political realm, what better way to reach them while they are searching, you know, than in this collegiate environment,
and
right?
He reaches
school environment.
He reaches them where they are on social media. They have big conventions with very big parties that might look like a whole frat party, but he knows how to reach them in a way that nobody else is, right? Because the assumption is, oh, they don't vote. And it's true.
Sure.
21, 25-year-olds generally don't vote, but Turning Point has managed to activate them.
We want to show you live images right now. We're getting word that this is of the university. Is that correct, Casey, our producer? Okay, this is at Utah Valley University. This is in Orem. This is located just north of Provo. You can see, obviously, that this whole area has cleared out, and it looks like a number of people, they could be students, they could be staff, what have you, but it looks like they are almost filing out in a way, but it's hard to tell. Or actually, no, it could be actually law enforcement.
Law enforcement there in the lower right side of the screen.
Okay,
for sure.
yes, because I see some rifles, I see some weapons. So they are obviously locking the campus down there, which is very typical in a situation where there has been a shooting on campus. But you can see that it looks like they've secured the area. Again, there were original reports that a suspect was taken into custody, but as of just maybe 5 minutes or so, that has been retracted, and they are still looking for this suspect.
And as we said, you know, you've got campus police, of course, but also the FBI and ATF investigating, looking for a suspect or suspects in this particular incident. It's unclear at this time who's responsible for injuring Charlie Kirk as he was speaking to a crowd of what witnesses said was hundreds of thousands of students. Again, all part of his American Comeback Tour, where he goes to these campuses and invites the students to come out and ask questions and have those healthy conversations and arguments and basically exercise the First Amendment, their right to freedom of speech.
I'm going to ask if we could still go back to this video, because this is chopper video. This is not obviously one of our choppers, but this is the local news chopper that's in the area over Utah Valley University. You know, it's interesting as we watch law enforcement, again, ATF, FBI, they're all on scene, and they're kind of, you know, securing this particular building right here. Again, we are still waiting for so many more details. We do know that there is not a suspect in custody, but it's interesting just to see them kind of line up against this wall and kind of near this corridor right here where the doors are. just to, see what kind of activity is going to transpire here.
And we're hearing from the Associated Press that Charlie Kirk is currently in critical condition, getting treatment at the hospital, which we were told, or rather NBC News reported, was about 5 minutes. From there, it was unclear if he was taken there in a personal vehicle or by ambulance. We're not sure about that, but he is currently in critical condition, according to the Associated Press at this time.
And getting back to the security question, it wasn't clear to me from that big, wide shot of the site that there were security precautions in place.
It didn't seem, and even if there were, it seemed like there was way too many access points for there to be even metal detectors in place at each entry point. And again,
they are going in right now into this particular building. We see law enforcement entering the building. At first they were kind of
weapons at the ready.
Right. At first they were kind of just standing by, and then it looks like they've got the clear to go inside.
And you've got to wonder if there are students inside that building, if that's residential, what role that building plays on campus, if there are students in there or staff at this point.
Yeah, in a situation like this, you just don't know. This is where a law enforcement official, their insight would be greatly helpful. But whether, the students are still in there or, in a lockdown situation, or if they've cleared the campus. That's a thing that we don't know.
Wow.
But it doesn't look like, from this vantage point, which is very small here, we haven't seen any students at all. It is just pure law enforcement making their way into this building one by one.
I think at this point, the only thing we do know is that Charlie Kirk was shot, right? At this point,
Well,
law enforcement
absolutely.
may not know. It's a confusing situation often, getting tips.
It's a very tactical entry. That looks like
Yeah.
something you'd see during a training procedure, that this is how we're going to go in and perceive, if there's a perceived threat, we're going to be ready and signal to each other.
They may have to go building by building.
Which usually is the case, when it comes to a shooting on campus. They kind of lock it down, because we've covered these before when it's happened here locally, especially. They lock down the school and they go in building by building, classroom by classroom, and again, that suspect is still out there. They're still looking for the person who fired that single shot into Charlie Kirk's neck during this turning point event that happened on campus at the Utah.
That's interesting right there. That's the site,
that's
and
the
it's
area.
just a giant courtyard.
And you could just see everybody just fleeing, and some police tape right there.
It's quite possible there's security measures we just don't see inside those buildings, so don't want to jump to conclusions.
And they could be, again, you in a situation like this where it's an outdoor event, and such a large venue, this campus, clearly a big college campus here, who knows the extra security and the work that goes into this and providing that security, whether they're undercover or, out in the open. But there were reports that he was removed after that shot by his security team and rushed to the hospital.
Yeah. And every politician watching this is wondering, should I do a public event?
And rightfully
it's
so.
A natural reaction.
All right, we are standing by right now for an NBC special report. They will be breaking into this newscast at really any moment right now.
And just for our viewers too, as we said, Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA is headquartered here in the Valley, and we do have a crew on our way to their headquarters to see, what we can find out, not only about how he's doing, but of course his family, his team, that grassroots effort that has now spawned into making him this incredible, not political figure, but figure, influencer. And so we do have a crew heading that way. We also have a crew looking into the security detail and what something like this would call for on any of these universities. As we said, his next stop on the American Comeback Tour was Colorado State University.
And Charlie Kirk was a presence, or has been a presence, here in the Valley. They have an alliance with Dream City Church, a mega church up in far north Phoenix. Several events have been held there. Luke Barrett, the pastor, I believe, is close to him. Held several campaign events for Carrie Lake. Their political arm, TP Action, did that. And even Donald Trump spoke there at the height of the pandemic. in June of 2020. They held a rally there.
We just want to point out to our viewers right now that this is a ground shot. Earlier you saw some aerial shots from a chopper, but this is a ground shot of the university here at Utah Valley University in Orem. You can see a massive, massive presence here from first responders. You've got the local fire trucks there, City of Orem, those firefighters there, along with law enforcement, ATF, FBI. They are all there swarming the campus, again, trying to find this suspect. But you can see just, how serious this is and what a massive presence this is. Here's a special report from NBC News.